Maslinski, Charlotte Mertz, Donna Bellino, and Bonnie Mertz. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. .02, Superintendent Spotlight. Dutchess County BOCES Students of Distinction.
Thank you, President Lumi, and good evening. I'd like to welcome CTI Principal, Mr. Millis. If you'd like to come up, Mr. Millis. Mr. Millis and our partners over at Dutchess BOCES in the CTI program are going to share with us their student of distinction this month, which happens to be a Wappinger Central School District student by the name of Jack Murphy from Orchard View Alternative High School. Mr. Millis, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having us, and it's really a pleasure. We're happy to recognize Jack as our student of distinction this month. You know, Jack reminded me of when he first arrived at BOCES. He came right up after we were done giving the principal expectations, shall we say, and looked me right in the eye, shook my hand, said, you know, this is the place where I want to be, and I'm going to do outstanding work here. You know, when I go in and view and observe students and observe teachers, you know, Jack's somebody who really stands out. Tremendous integrity, asks really engaging and insightful questions, a good teammate, which you need to be in the culinary industry when you're working in the kitchen. And we're just really proud to recognize him. I would like to bring Chef Skoka, his teacher, up to the podium to say a few words as well.
Hi, I'm Chef Amanda Skoka. I'm Jack's culinary arts teacher. So when Jack first came into the class, he was just so excited, so engaged. I did the smallest tour of the kitchen before we even opened up anything. And he had such a look in his eyes, so much passion in his eyes. And I looked at him, I was like, he is going to be a wonderful student. I got the pleasure of speaking to his mom and his dad earlier in the year, and they explained to me that he was, you know, the typical teenage high school boy, like at John Jay High School, really not caring about his passion or what he wanted to do after high school. And he explained that he came to Orchard View High School, which is one of the only Orchard View students that we've had so far. And he wanted to change his life for the better. He wanted to pursue a passion in culinary, and he really had like the love for the culinary trade. So when I heard that, and I heard his story, and his parents told me, you know, he was never always like this, I looked at them and I was like, you're kidding, because he came in with so much passion, so much drive, and he continues to show that throughout the year. It wasn't just, you know, 2 weeks in, he was so excited, and then he dropped it. He has continued to show so much improvement. He goes home and he continues to make dinners for his dad and his mom, his family every single night. And he comes in, he shows me what he's made, and it's just amazing to see that. So when Mr. Millis had asked for recommendations, I knew automatically that I thought Jack was an amazing candidate for the Student Distinction Award. So congratulations, Jack, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm so excited that I get you for another year. So great job.
Jack, why don't you come on up? We'd like to present a certificate. very much. Outstanding work.
You're gonna get everyone together?
Jack.
Everybody? I would love that.
Jeff, congratulations. Thank you, sir. When you're done, remember, there's a lot of local restaurants there. A lot of school districts, alumni. When we're looking to get paid next time.
Yes, sir. I will. Thank you, sir. Jack, here's my, thank you, congratulations.
John was running away.
Join
John,
call.
he's slippery. Come on, you know me better.
You're gonna break the camera.
You know you can't get away.
You better make a lot of it if you're gonna eat dinner with this guy. I really do.
John, ready?
John, look at the camera. Oh. Stop.
There we go. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Cheese. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So once again, I would like to thank our partners over at Duchess BOCES for all of their work in providing opportunities such as these. We are very fortunate to have them. They are a great partner, and we appreciate the work that they're doing with our students. Thank you.
4.01, public comment on agenda items. Please sign up if you want to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to list the public comment. Although the state law does not require us to hold a public comment period, we chose to do so because we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns and issues. The board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed to be debate or dialogue. Please do not expect board members to respond to your concerns or questions tonight. We take your concerns and questions seriously and want to have sufficient time to process and research issues if need be. Any question from the public should be submitted through the use of the public comment form, which may be obtained online or at the desk with the district clerk, where the proper staff member get back to you as appropriate. I also want to point out that under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to address any comments or questions about specific students or school personnel. We'd ask you to go through the appropriate administrative channels. A total of 30 minutes at the beginning of each board meeting is set aside to allow for public comments on agenda items only. Public comment at the beginning of the meeting is limited only to the items in the agenda. Persons who wish to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting are asked to provide their name and the specific agenda items on which they wish to speak. A sign-up sheet is located on the desk with the district clerk. Individual comments on agenda items submitted is limited to 3 minutes and are welcomed. If you wish to address items relating to a school district that are not in tonight's agenda, another comment period is provided at the end of the meeting for that purpose. A second sign-up sheet is available for non-agenda items. In your interest of civility and respect for different points of view, clapping, booing, or any disturbance or disruption during either public comment period is not permitted. At this time, does anyone want to address them? There are none. Seeing none. Communication announcements from the Board of Education. Marie?
Yes, I would like to first congratulate this past week Gabby Sweeney at John Jay High School hit a 1,000-point career on Monday, February 15th in the game against New Rochelle, where they won 70-61. And then just 6 short days later, Jenny Nardelli hit her 1,000-point career on Saturday, February 15th at RCK with a win against Shenandoah Hoa of 54-36. To have 2 of our girls hit a 1,000-point career in just 1 week was quite amazing. I was also lucky enough to go to Albany with Trustee Morgan, Ms. Kellen, Ms. Miggets, and also Dr. Bonk to Lobby Day so that we could, I guess, beg our wonderful constituents up there to ensure that we have as many resources as possible for our students and staff to make sure that we have the best available for our district. So thank you.
Hey, Peggy?
I was going to mention that about Lobby Day also. We met with Assembly members, Behan, Jacobson, Barrett, and State Senator Rollison, and they all were quite sympathetic to our suggestions for modifications in the budget, and we were very appreciative of their interest in giving us the maximum state aid that they possibly can. Thank you.
Cheryl?
Yes, as well as Trustee Johnson, I was at some of these basketball games in the past week, and I just want to congratulate the boys and the girls of both of our high schools on some of the most competitive basketball games I've seen in a long time. They all really left it out there on the court. I also would like to congratulate Michael Morrow from John Jay, who is the Section 1 285-pound wrestling champion, who will be representing the district and his high school at States. And would also like to congratulate as well John Jay wrestlers Ryan Fitzpatrick, who took 5th place in the 124-pound category, Chris Mollicone, who took 5th place in the 131-pound category, and Brandon Delapia, who took 6th place at 152 pounds.
Anyone else? Well, I guess, John.
I just wanted to add thank you to my colleagues and to Dr. Bonk for attending the State Lobby Day with me. I just wanted to acknowledge Kelly Knappen from the Dutchess County School Boards Association, who did a great job of organizing the entire Dutchess County contingent. Wappingers was very well represented. Thank you.
First, I'd like to congratulate the John Jay girls volleyball team and the game day cheerleading team for receiving Section 1 Team Sportsmanship Award. I want to recognize Ian Friedman, Leah Miller, and Jess Morrissey for being the team managers for the John Jay Champs in the Science Olympiad held at John Jay High School. Of the 35 teams from 21 different schools, John Jay Team A took first place trophy for the second year in a row and will be competing in the New York State tournament, which will be held at Lemoyne College in Syracuse. Also, congratulations to the John Jay B team, which took 7th place, and RCK team, which took 9th place. Moreover, on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to thank the 45 individuals who judged the various events, as well as the 40 students from John Jay who also volunteered. In particular, special thanks given to Kate Poggi and Anish Anna for spending numerous hours to prepare for the event. I also want to thank the John Jay PTSA for cooking delicious food for the participants and staff. On behalf of the district, I want to thank the following sponsors: Losemi, who provided a 3D printer; Stewards, who gave a $400 donation; Adams Ferricker's Farm, who gave a $125 donation that was used to feed the volunteers; Stop and Shop donated water as well as food; Mountain Strategic Wealth, who did $125, and Safeguard, who provided banners. I hope I've not forgotten anybody. I want to also thank Kate Poggi for organizing a STEM talk to former John Jay students. That presentation to both the students and the staff was very informative and inspiring. I wish each of the presenters continued success. Congratulations to Matthew Mulligan for representing the John Jay Future Farmers of America at the New York State Future Farmers Leadership Conference. Last but not least, I want to congratulate both the JV and the varsity girls basketball team for beating Shenandoah, which was ranked #1 in the state. So congratulations to the students as well as to the coaches. And with that, let's go to the next item. Let's consent agenda. Does anyone want to remove? No. Superintendent report. I don't want to forget the superintendent. It's got a long report. Maybe we should just cut it short.
I'll do my best, President Lumia. Before I get to the formal report, just a couple of announcements. You may have noticed that the district will be closed tomorrow due to the impending snow. We're expecting in the neighborhood of 6 to 10 inches. I was on the phone with the meteorologist prior to going into executive session. We did the announcement at 7 o'clock, so all Wappinger schools will be closed tomorrow. That'll be a code 1 for staff. In addition to that, I wanted to share with you that on Friday, I had an opportunity to assist Veterans Chair Capillari, Assemblyman A.J. Beepin, as well as County Legislator Majority Leader, Chairman Will Truitt, in doing Valentine's for Vets. We had the opportunity on Friday to go over to Castle Point, and I have to tell you, it was one of the most heartwarming events that I've ever experienced. The individuals there were so happy to see that our students were thinking of them and thanking them for their service and dedication to our country. So I would like to thank Chairman Capillari for extending the invite. We had a number of our schools that were involved in this Valentine's for Vets, as well as other programs. And I would open it up to the community. If there's anything that we can do to show our community support and the empathy that we have for those who serve and those who work on our behalf in whatever area they might be, please don't hesitate to contact our public information officer. That's Deborah C., 298-5000. Deb, your extension? 40178. It's important that our students see the positive impact that they can make within their society and within their community. So with that, that concludes the announcement part of the report. And now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the budget process and where we are.
Padre, Filho, Espírito Santo.
Excuse me, Mr. Shelton. So if you can load it up for me. Great. Good evening, all. I'd like to thank you for being here this evening. As you know, tonight will be the presentation on the preliminary budget. This is the first presentation. You know that the mission of our school district is to empower all of our students with the competencies, confidence to challenge themselves, pursue their passions, and realize their potential while growing as responsible members of their community. I just mentioned one way in which they do that. The theme for this year's budget is maximizing resources to benefit our schools and community. I'll talk a little bit about that.
Oh,
Can we go back?
yes, sir.
Might be an issue with the pad.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so members of the Board of Education, you know who they are. President John Lumia, Vice President John S. Morgan, Trustee Marie Johnson, Trustee Keith Odoms, Trustee Peggy Kelland, Trustee Eddie A. Slowshower, Trustee Michael McFarland, Trustee James Spencer, and Trustee Cheryl Miggets. Thank you. Members of the Senior Staff Administration, couldn't do it without them. Darren Lokema, Assistant Superintendent for Administration and Information Systems. Dr. Michelle Cardwell is our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Ms. Kristen Dainty, who is right here to my left, Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Business Development. Mr. Richard Zipp, Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services. Renee Harris, our Executive Director of Human Resources. Julie Montoya, Executive Director of Special Education. Ronald Broas, Director of Facilities. And Alberta Pedro, the District Clerk and the Secretary to the Superintendent.
Good job, Mike.
So,
That was interesting.
thank you, Trustee Spencer. No, the key words in the budget process, we go through this every year. It's rather elementary, but it's worth saying if you haven't seen this presentation before. Budget is what we spend. It's the balances between the revenues and the expenses. Tax levy, that's important. That is the amount received in property taxes. State aid will be the amount received in the 24-25 budget, which we do not have yet. We are hoping for an on-time budget around April 1st, although that potentially could be in doubt from what I understand. Other revenue, financial resources received at the local level, such as interest earnings. The assigned fund balance is an amount intended for the specific use or the assignment for the district to reduce the burden on the taxpayer. I sent out a notice today to the community in regards to the issues that we have had at multiple school buildings over the past couple of weeks. It's absolutely unacceptable and it's inexcusable. So we apologize for any inconvenience that has caused. And I can tell you that I will be recommending to the board in the next budget that we take $2 million of fund balance from this assigned fund balance that will not impact the burden on the taxpayer to make the necessary improvements to the infrastructure, particularly in the areas of plumbing and heating. Over the years, work has been done. The work that's been done were temporary fixes in many instances, and now those temporary fixes are exactly what they were once intended for, temporary. So it's our responsibility, and I've been working with Mr. Brois, our our director for facilities, to do an inventory of all of our systems within the buildings and find out exactly what is critical that needs to get repaired. So the 24-25 budget, current educational climate. Mentioned the deadline is April 1st. Hearing it might be after April 1st. Last year, I believe it was 6 weeks late. So April 1st was a deadline last year. I don't think we had an approved budget until May 12th.
Pretty close to when the budget vote happened.
Right. I don't think it's going to be that late, but I don't think it'll be here on April 1st. Continued focus on the mental and emotional health and safety of our students and staff. As I say in every correspondence, our top priority is the safety and the security of our students and staff. If we don't have that, students aren't going to be able to reach their highest social, emotional, or academic potential. Just simply won't happen. We want to continue to maintain the current educational program, supporting the academic supports, academic enrichment opportunities, extracurricular activities, and the much needed professional development for staff. Continued support, which we have done in earnest over the past 2 years, of career and technical education program. In my conversations with our business community through the Chamber of Commerce, we have many employees that want to remain here in Dutchess County. They want to remain here in this region. They have jobs. Those jobs don't require a 4-year college degree, but they do require specific skills and training. It's our responsibility to be part of that workforce development puzzle and to make the community aware of those opportunities and begin to integrate them as early as possible. We've done some of that at the middle level and continue it at the high school level. That will continue. We were awarded a grant through Dutchess County BOCES for the P-TECH program. That's Pathways to Early College. And we'll talk more about that as we roll through this process. The current CPI is 4.12%. We all know we're paying more for everything. Virtually everything costs more. Since the CPI exceeds 2%, the district will utilize 2% in the tax cap formula. Ms. Dainty, could you talk about that a little bit?
The tax cap formula?
Talk about how we arrived at 2%
Sure.
based on where the CPI is.
Absolutely. So the tax cap legislation is often referred to as 2%, but it's important to note that the CPI increase is really the 2% that is allowed. And as the remaining 7 steps of the calculation is done for the tax cap, the actual rate that is allowable may indeed exceed 2% or maybe below 2%. It depends on the other factors that are involved in the calculation.
Thank you for that explanation. So the completion of the tax cap calculation has resulted in the maximum allowable tax levy increase for our district at 4.49%. We are working to balance a budget using a tax levy increase that is less than that 4.49%. And I am confident that in my proposed recommended budget, it will be less than 4.49%. How much? Too early to tell. Number of things that Kristen and I need to work through, meetings with the senior staff administration, prioritizing needs, the needs that we've gotten from our community, from our staff. And remember, our email is budget@email.
Budget at WCSD.
I know I'll go through it at the end, but I want to say it
Sure.
a few times. Budget at
WCSDNY.org. One other piece too to keep in there, Dr. Vaughn, just as we have this conversation, is there are many factors that we don't have final numbers on yet. We have estimates that are being included, and we're taking steps to try to finalize those numbers, but we're really early in the process. So there are pieces that are out of our control as well.
Right, and we should have a better understanding of some of those pieces by the first board meeting in March. So we now have the governor's executive budget proposal. I would like to thank the governor. Wappingers did receive an increase, where a number of school districts did not. So I would like to thank the governor. That being said, there's much more work that needs to be done. And I'm hoping that our assembly and then our Senate and our state legislators, I believe based upon the meetings that we had that were referenced by a few board members up in Albany, they understand the needs of our school district, and I believe that they will support our ask. And again, it's particularly in the area of mental health services, special education, and student safety, and career and technical education. So UPK funding remains in this proposal. And we are budgeting using the full governor's executive budget proposal. We will have hopefully more definitive numbers at the April 8th meeting. The first meeting in March, we should have a pretty good idea as to where we're going to be. And we will do that based upon what the governor has proposed. But if that's changed by the legislature, the hope would be maybe that we'll get more money and we'd be able to either add more programs or lessen the tax burden on the taxpayers. We'll know that. Again, we're very early in the process. Maximizing resource to benefit our schools and community. Our mission and core values, the Board of Education values and goals, senior staff discussion and goals, community input. That's staff, that's anyone that lives in the Wappinger Central School District. What are your priorities for the school district? What do you want our students to have access to prepare them for life after high school? Well, special education, we've been growing at about 100 students receiving special education services per year since we've returned from COVID. That's been an addition of 300 students. Enrollment, our elementary enrollment is growing slightly. We don't know if that's going to continue. We're going to continue to study that. Our secondary enrollment continues to decline somewhat. I mentioned earlier the P-TECH program. The P-TECH program we're running in conjunction with Dutchess County BOCES. It's a 4-year program. The first 2 years will be held, and this will be open to students throughout the 13 component school districts in Dutchess County. The first 2 years will be held at Royce C. Ketchum High School. The junior and senior years will be held at Dutchess Community College in Fishkill. Upon completion of that program, any student that's enrolled and successfully completes it will have an associate's degree in electrical technology through Dutchess Community College. And those jobs, average starting salary, are in the $70,000 range. Mental and emotional health for students and staff. awareness and strategies to support students and staff. Again, I need to thank Governor Hochul. We were awarded a $2.5 million grant to expand and support the practices that promote mental health and wellness. As you know, within the last 2 years, we've added 12 mental health professionals, K-12. It's helped, but it's not enough. We will be adding more. Again, if you don't have a safe school environment, people aren't going to reach their highest maximum potential. Tax cap, I can tell you that I will not be recommending a budget that exceeds the tax cap. My hope and expectation is I will be recommending a budget that is below the tax cap. The question is how much below? We've done that the last 2 years. I believe we are in a position to do that again this year, because we have had some very, very careful financial planning, thank you, Ms. Dainty, over the past 3 years. We have been given monies by a number of entities, whether they be federal and or state monies, and instead of spending them on areas that we thought might help, we actually analyzed the needs of our district and then identified areas to be able to correct those needs. And now moving forward, we will have that money to spend them in a wise manner that we can continue to sustain those types of programs. So we're very, very fortunate that we're in that circumstance. Obviously, we need to be fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. The perfect budget is one that provides our students with the services and the programs that they need and is fiscally responsible to the taxpayers. So, state aid, we should know sometime around early April. There's been a lot of discussion about changes in foundation aid. I can't get into that now, but there'll be more that will be shared once we have the final calculation. Federal allocation for non-budgeted pandemic-related expenses from July 20 through September 25th. We still have some of that money. We carried it over in a fund balance, as I mentioned before. Why? Because we didn't want to spend it willy-nilly. We wanted to find out what our needs were before we established programs. We didn't want to spend money for the sake of spending money. And change in pupil enrollment and New York State reporting. Developing projected budgets based on feedback from vendors, historical data, input from our municipalities. I am very, very pleased that over the past 3 years, we have continued to meet with our elected officials from our municipalities. I'm proud to say that they are our partners. We have done these budget presentations at their town board meetings. We will be doing that again this year in many of them. And we all try to work together to leverage the resources available. We can't work in silos. We need to work together, and we've been doing that, and that will continue. Utilize forecast planning tools for information, debt service rates, health insurance contribution rates. That's one thing that we're waiting on that number. New York State retirement system rate of returns and the CPI, we just mentioned that number was 4.12%, I believe. Budgetary requests for additions to 24-25. I will say here this evening, I don't anticipate cutting any current program that we have. I'm looking, and we're looking to add program and services. How much? That will depend upon the final state aid number. Offices and schools, initial local proposals and requests have been reviewed. We want to continue to make sure that there is a high-quality, student-centered budget that attracts the highest quality of staff. Governments and decision-making, obviously, to reach a final recommended budget, which will happen within the next month or so. What is the budget based on? Salaries, contracts, supplies, BOCES, benefits. We are a people business. So, budget calendar. This is the preliminary budget presentation 1. There'll be a video going out the 26th of this month, which will explain the process in more detail. Then the first board meeting in March, we will have the preliminary budget presentation number 2, as well as the vehicle purchase presentation. And I can tell you that this year's vehicle purchase presentation will be different than it has been in recent memory. As I mentioned last year, we are going to begin buying buses. We're not just going to replace buses, we're going to buy new buses so that we can continue to bring as many runs possible into our district transportation department. It is very clear. Our parents, our residents want their children transported by Wappinger Central School District. We will continue to work to make that happen. This will be year 1 of what I hope is a 3-year plan in bringing in enough buses to be able to do that. The 18th, recommended budget presentation 1. 4/11, recommended budget presentation 2. Hopefully we'll have all of our state aid information by the 11th. And I really hope we have it by the 23rd, when we will have the recommended budget presentation 3 and the potential adoption of the budget for 24-25. Also a community forum. State mandated public hearing on the budget, that will be May 13th. The budget vote is May the 21st. And I would like to thank all of you for being here this evening and the continued support that you provide for our students and for our staff and our school community. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bond, for the presentation. Looking forward to future ones.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And now consent agenda items. Does anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda? Marie?
6.03, item number 23.
Anyone else? John?
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve the following consent agenda items as stated. 6.02, 6.03, accept item 23. 6.04, 6.05, 6.06, 6.07, 6.08, 6.09, 6.10, and 6.11.
Motion. Marie, second. Peggy, all those in favor? Unanimous. 6.03, number 23.
Be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve item 6.03, item 23.
Motion. Marie, second. Peggy, all those in favor? Opposed? It passes, okay. New business, 7.01, approval of the waiver of conflicts of interest.
Whereas the Wappinger Central School District, Wappingers, is seeking memoranda of understanding, MOUs, with Duchess BOCES to allow for the development and implementation of a P-TECH program. And whereas Thomas, Drohan, Waxman, Pettigrew, and Nail LLP, TDWPM, presently represents both Wappingers and BOCES. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Wappinger Central School District waives any potential conflict of interest that might otherwise exist and authorizes TDWPM to draft MOUs to allow for the creation and implementation of a P-TECH program, and be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby authorizes the Superintendent of Schools to execute a waiver of conflict on the district's behalf.
Motion, Marie, second. Peggy, discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous? 7.02, approval of the 24-25 school calendar.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby adopt the 2024-2025 school calendar as submitted by the Assistant Superintendent for Administration and Information Systems and recommended by the Superintendent of Schools.
Motion, Marie, second. Peggy, all those in favor? Unanimous. 7.03, approval of change orders, 2023 district-wide renovations. John Jay, phase 1.
Resolved that the Board of Education approve change order number S.1-006 at a total cost of $69,291 as per memo dated January 30th, 2024, from the school district's architect to the Director of Facilities and Operations, as recommended by the Superintendent of Schools.
Motion, Marie, second. Michael, discussion. Those in favor? Unanimous. 7.04, approval of change order 2023 district-wide renovation, public junior high, phase 1.
Resolved that the Board of Education approve change order number S.1-007 at a total cost of $75,172 as per memo dated January 30th, 2024, from the school district's architect to the Director of Facilities and Operations as recommended by the Superintendent of Schools.
Motion, Marie, second. Peggy, all those in favor? Unanimous. 7.05, approval of the revised board meeting calendar.
Whereas the next Board of Education meeting for Monday, March 4th, where the district plans to provide the first superintendent's budget presentation, he said, for the 2024-2025 school year, and whereas the district anticipates the release of the DHIC insurance rates for the next school year on Wednesday, March 6th, 2024, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby approve a revision to the 2023-2024 board meeting calendar to change the board meeting date of Monday, March 4th to Monday, March 11th, 2024.
Motion. Cheryl, second. Eddie, all those in favor? Unanimous. 7.06, process for nomination and posting Board of Education. I think it's self-explanatory. We did not have to take any action until March 20th, so we can discuss that at a future date. 7.07, second reading of adoption policies.
Resolved that the Board of Education of the Wappinger Central School District hereby approves the second reading of and adopts the following policy based upon the first reading by the board and the recommendation of the policy committee as stated.
Motion, Peggy, second. Marie, does anybody want to pull anything from that particular? Yeah, Marie.
Yes, I was wondering if we could pull 4, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see.
4.334.
Yeah, 4.33.1 for a third reading, so we can have the attorneys review it for some more verbiage, please.
Second motion.
Wait, John,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everyone's clear. It's 4.33.4.
4.33.
I'm sorry,
4.1.
Right.
you've got your glasses, I don't, thank you.
I second that motion.
Okay, so hold on a second. We've got, so we're amending
4.331, so she's making a motion to take it off
We're
to
making a motion to amend.
Table it for a third reading?
4.334.1.
Recommend to table 4.334.1 for a third reading.
Okay, there a second? All in favor of?
Table
Yeah.
it until further for that one.
Okay. Any discussion?
Now we can
Okay,
vote
now
on
we
the
can vote
remaining.
the rest of them. Motion. Okay, you have a question? Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't get clarity for, on 9605 I'd like to make the same, motion, pull that for a third reading. 9605.
Okay, motion to, second to that? Okay, let's further discussion. All right, so let's, take a vote on, the rest of them, all those in favor of the rest of them? Okay,
It's on the table at first.
For the next meeting.
All in favor? Second.
I
Who
second
seconded
to table
All right.
9605.
Trustee Johnson, second.
Okay.
And now we have to vote to table it.
All in favor?
It's really not, it's really not really a table, is it?
Yes, it is.
Murder,
It's not really a table.
it's not a table.
It's called, it's just
Supposed to
called,
recommend.
we go to the policy committee for third reading.
Okay, that,
It's,
okay,
it's,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay, so,
Understood.
all those in favor? Now we have to go vote on the remaining ones. All those in favor of the remaining policies for adoption? Unanimous. All right, 7.08, approval to retire policy 4770. Graduation requirements.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby retire policy number 4770, graduation requirements, as this policy is not a required policy and does not incorporate any regulations beyond the state requirements for graduation as recommended by the school district attorneys and the members of the policy committee.
Motion Maria, second Michael. All those in favor? Unanimous. First reading of policies, silent reading. Once again, if anybody has any comments on these policies, please address it to the chairman, Megan Kelly. So by the time of second reading, any problems that may arise between now and then can be addressed. All right. 8.01, board members may request additional agenda items. Anybody want to add anything to the agenda? Seeing none. Communication from the public. Are there any comments from the public? None, seeing none, somebody make a motion to adjourn. Michael, second, Marie.
Resolved that the Board of Education does hereby adjourn the February 12th, 2024 Board of Education meeting. The time is 8:40 p.m.
Motion. Michael, second, Marie, all in favor? Thanks for coming, everybody.